Hello, and a very, very warm welcome back to English Made Easy. For anyone who's new here, this channel has one simple mission: to help you learn and master the English language in the simplest, most interesting way possible. We don't just learn lists of words here, we learn how to use them, how to feel them, and how to win arguments with them. Today, we are diving into a topic that feels like it's pulled straight from a science fiction movie, but it's happening right now in our world. We see robots and artificial intelligence, or AI, doing incredible things. They can write poetry, create art, and even talk to us in ways that feel deeply human. Sometimes they seem more patient, more understanding, even more empathetic than a person. The line between a human and a machine is getting blurry. It's fading. This brings us to a huge and honestly a slightly scary question. Should AI robots replace human teachers in our classrooms? Now, I have a very strong opinion on this, and I'm going to build my case for you, step by step. But this isn't just about my opinion. This is a debate, and I want to hear from you. As I make my point, I challenge you to think about your own. What do you believe? Do you see a flaw in my logic? Please let me know your counterpoint in the comments section below. It would be so interesting to hear what you think, and that's how we all learn, by sharing ideas. Today, we're going to arm you with some powerful, advanced English vocabulary. These aren't just words you memorize for a test. These are words that will help you express complex ideas, to argue your point with intelligence and precision, whether you're discussing AI, politics, or just a movie you watched with a friend. I promise you that by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what these words mean, how to say them, and most importantly, how to weave them into your own conversations so you sound more confident and more articulate. So get comfortable. And as we go, please say the words out loud with me, even if you're just whispering to yourself on the bus or at your desk. Let's practice together. I'll be speaking at a natural pace with the natural rhythm of a native speaker so you can get used to the sound and feel of the language. Let's begin. So, the big question is on the table. Should a machine, no matter how intelligent, take the place of a human teacher in front of a class of young, developing minds? My stance is a clear, firm, and absolute no. And my argument doesn't come from a fear of technology. I love technology. It comes from a deep belief in what it means to be human and what it truly means to learn. Let's start with the most common argument for AI teachers, the idea of perfect 24/7 empathy. An AI can be programmed to be endlessly patient. It will never get tired. It will never have a bad day. It can access a database of billions of human conversations and learn to say the perfect, most comforting thing at the perfect time. When a student says, "I don't understand," the AI can respond with 1,000 different explanations without a hint of frustration. It can tell a student, "I understand you're feeling stressed," and its voice can be programmed to sound warm and caring. But here is the core of the problem, the first and most critical point. This programmed empathy, this performance of understanding, is ultimately specious. That's a powerful word. Let's stop and really look at it. Specious. Say it with me. Specious. The stress is right at the beginning on that spe sound. Specious. What does it mean? Something that is specious seems good, correct, or logical on the surface, but in reality, it's false. It's deceptive. Imagine you're buying a watch. You see one that has a famous brand name, it's shiny gold, it looks expensive and well made. It seems like a fantastic deal. But when you take it to a professional, they tell you it's a cheap fake. The gold is just paint and the parts inside are low quality. The watch's quality was specious. It looked real, but it was a lie. This is exactly what AI empathy is. It is a brilliant imitation of human feeling, but it is hollow. It's a collection of data points and algorithms designed to produce a convincing emotional response. The AI doesn't feel your frustration or your joy. It identifies patterns in your language and your tone of voice and selects the most appropriate response from its programming. It's like a puppet that can say, I love you, but the puppet itself feels nothing. The words are just pulled by strings of code. Think about a time a teacher truly helped you. Was it just because they explained the math problem well, or was it something more? Maybe you were struggling with a topic, feeling stupid, and wanting to give up. A great teacher sees that. They don't just see the wrong answers on your page, they see the slump in your shoulders, the look of defeat in your eyes. They might come over to your desk, not to give you the answer, but to say, hey, I know this is tough. I struggled with this too when I was your age. It's okay to find it hard. Let's try looking at it from a different angle. In that moment, you feel a real connection. You feel understood by another human being who has their own history of struggle and success. Their encouragement isn't based on a script. It comes from genuine lived experience. That feeling of real, shared humanity is the magic ingredient in learning. It's what gives a student the courage to try again. The comfort offered by an AI, on the other hand, is specious. It's a trick of technology, and while it might be temporarily useful, it can never replace the power of a genuine human connection. It's the difference between a real hug and a picture of a hug. One gives you real warmth, the other is just a representation of it. And in education, our children deserve the real thing. This leads directly to the sophistication of this illusion. AI developers are getting incredibly good at creating these convincing imitations. They are masters of creating what we call verisimilitude. That one sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Let's break it down. Verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. It's a long one. The main stress is on that third syllable from the end. Mil. Verisimilitude. Let's say it slowly one more time. Verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. It's like the idea of something being almost real. Verisimilitude is when something is artful, so artful that you have a hard time telling if it's real or not. Verisimilitude simply means the appearance of being true or real. It's a quality that makes something seem like real life. A synonym could be realism or lifelikeness. When you watch a movie with amazing special effects and the dragons or spaceships look so real you feel like you could reach out and touch them, that movie has a high degree of verisimilitude. When you read a novel and the characters feel like real people you know, with complex emotions and believable problems, the author has created a world with verisimilitude. AI interactions are being designed with ever-increasing verisimilitude. The conversations feel real. The AI can use slang, make jokes, pause for thought, and remember your previous conversations. The goal is to make you forget you're talking to a machine. And this is where it becomes dangerous in a classroom setting. A young student, especially, might not be able to tell the difference between the AI's performance of empathy and the real thing. They might start to prefer the AI. Why? Because the AI's verisimilitude is perfect. It's a flawless performance. It never gets impatient, it never says the wrong thing, it never brings its own messy human problems into the classroom. It presents a perfect, idealized version of a teacher. But this perfection is a trap. Learning to interact with real, imperfect people is one of the most important skills we learn in school. We learn to read social cues. We learn to deal with someone who might be a little tired or distracted. We learn to see things from another person's perspective. We learn forgiveness and patience. If we give a child a teacher with perfect artificial verisimilitude, we are robbing them of the chance to learn how to navigate the beautiful, complicated, and messy reality of human relationships. It's like letting someone practice for a swimming competition in a pool with no water. They can practice the movements, they can perfect their form, but the moment they hit real water, they will have no idea what to do. The simulation, no matter how realistic, didn't prepare them for the reality. High verisimilitude in an AI teacher isn't a feature, it's a bug. It creates a sterile, unreal environment that fails to prepare students for the real world, a world filled not with perfect simulations, but with wonderfully imperfect human beings. This brings me to my second major point. If we replace teachers with machines, we lose something profoundly important, something that a machine, by its very nature, can never possess. We lose the soul of education, mentorship, inspiration, and the power of human experience. A classroom is not just a place where information is transferred from a source to a receiver. If it were, we could have already replaced teachers with books or videos a long time ago. A classroom is a community. A teacher is not just an information provider. They are a guide, a mentor, a role model, and sometimes the only stable, supportive adult in a child's life. The connection that forms between a passionate teacher and a curious student it's almost impossible to describe. There's a special quality to it, a kind of magic that can change a person's life forever. This quality is ineffable. Let's look at that beautiful word, ineffable. Ineffable. The stress is on the second syllable, ineffable. It almost sounds like what it means. It's soft and hard to grasp. Ineffable means too great, too extreme, or too sacred to be expressed or described in words. It's a feeling or a quality that you can't quite put your finger on, but you know it's there. A good synonym might be indescribable or unspeakable, but ineffable is often used for positive, beautiful, or spiritual things. The feeling of standing on a mountain and looking at 1,000 stars in a perfectly clear night sky, that sense of awe and wonder is ineffable. The love a parent feels for their child, that's ineffable. You can try to describe it, but words will always fall short. The impact of a great teacher is ineffable. Think about the teacher who changed your life. Was it just what they taught you from the textbook? Or was it the way they looked at you when you finally solved the problem you'd been stuck on for days? Was it the passion in their voice when they talked about a subject they loved, a passion so strong it ignited a spark in you too? Was it the time they pulled you aside and told you they believed in you, at a moment when you didn't even believe in yourself? These moments are the true substance of education. They can't be programmed. They can't be replicated by an algorithm. They arise from a shared, spontaneous human moment. An AI can tell a student, "Good job," but it cannot share in the student's genuine, hard-won triumph. An AI can explain the history of the civil rights movement, but it cannot convey the gravity and the hope of that struggle with the authentic emotion of a human being who understands oppression and the fight for justice on a personal level. This ineffable quality of human connection is what inspires us. It's what makes a student fall in love with poetry or suddenly understand the beauty of mathematics. It's what pushes a student to be a better person, not just a better test taker. To remove the human teacher from the classroom is to drain it of this magic. It turns education from a vibrant, living human experience into a sterile, predictable, and ultimately uninspiring transaction. We would be trading something priceless, something ineffable, for the cold, empty efficiency of a machine. And part of this ineffable connection comes from how a teacher shares not just information, but their own life. We learn from our teachers' stories, their mistakes, and their passions. We learn, in other words, vicariously. This is another word that is so useful. Vicariously. Vicariously. Or vicariously. The stress lands on that second syllable, care. Vicariously. To experience something vicariously means to feel it in your imagination through the feelings or actions of another person. It's a secondhand experience, but it can feel very real. If your friend goes on an amazing trip to Japan and shows you all their photos and tells you stories about the food and the temples, you might feel a sense of excitement and wonder. You are experiencing their trip vicariously. When you watch a movie and the hero is in a dangerous situation and your heart starts beating faster, you are feeling fear vicariously. A huge part of learning in a human-led classroom happens vicariously. A history teacher doesn't just list dates and events. They tell stories. They bring historical figures to life. We live vicariously through the struggles of those people. We learn from their courage and their failures. A science teacher's story about an experiment that went wrong in a funny way not only makes the class laugh, but it also teaches a valuable lesson about the scientific process. An English teacher who shares how a particular poem helped them through a difficult time in their own life does more than just analyze the poem. They show students how art can be a source of strength and comfort in the real world. An AI has no life. It has no stories to tell. It has no past failures, no moments of unexpected joy, no memories of its own childhood. It cannot say, this reminds me of a time when because it has never had a time when. It has only data. It can access and recite millions of stories, but it cannot share a single one of its own. When we learn vicariously from a teacher, we are learning about more than just the subject. We are learning about resilience, about passion, about what it means to be a human being navigating the world. We see a model for how to live, how to overcome challenges, and how to find meaning. An AI can be a source of infinite information, but it can never be a source of wisdom, because wisdom is born from lived experience. By removing the teacher, we remove the opportunity for students to learn vicariously from a life that has been lived, and we replace it with an empty echo. This leads us to a third, and perhaps the most dangerous long-term problem, the risk of stifling genuine creativity and critical thought. We live in a world that needs creative problem solvers, innovators, and people who can think outside the box more than ever before. And the classroom dominated by AI could be the very thing that crushes that potential. The argument is that an AI can provide personalized learning paths, instantly answering any question a student has. If a student is curious about something, they can get an immediate, comprehensive, and accurate answer. This sounds like an educational paradise. But I believe this instant gratification, this reliance on an all-knowing machine, would have a pernicious effect on the way our minds develop. Let's unpack that word. Pernicious. Pernicious. The stress is on that middle syllable, nish. Pernicious. Pernicious means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual and subtle way. It's not a sudden, obvious danger like a car crash. It's more like a slow poison. A small, seemingly harmless habit that, over years, leads to terrible health problems. For example, the belief that skipping sleep to be more productive is a good idea can have a pernicious effect on your long-term mental and physical health. It seems to work in the short term, but it's slowly causing damage beneath the surface. Another synonym could be damaging or destructive, but pernicious carries that extra sense of being subtle and sneaky. The over-reliance on AI for answers would be pernicious to a student's intellectual growth. Why? Because true learning isn't about getting the right answer quickly. It's about the struggle. It's about the process of not knowing. It's in that space of confusion and curiosity that real thinking happens. When you don't know the answer, you have to hypothesize, you have to research from different sources, you have to talk to other people, you have to try and fail and try again. This struggle builds intellectual muscle. It teaches you how to think for yourself. A great human teacher knows this. They don't always give you the answer right away. Sometimes the most powerful thing a teacher can do is respond to your question with another question. That's an interesting thought. Why do you think that is? Or how could you find that out? They guide you, they push you, but they force you to do the mental work yourself. They make you comfortable with the feeling of being a little lost because they know that's where discovery happens. An AI designed for efficiency would likely just give you the answer. This creates a generation of students who are brilliant at asking questions, but terrible at finding their own answers. They become dependent on the machine. This has a pernicious effect because it slowly erodes their ability to think critically and creatively. They learn to be passive receivers of information, not active creators of knowledge. The convenience of the AI becomes a crutch that, over time, allows their own intellectual legs to weaken until they can no longer stand on their own. And what happens to a mind that is always given the answers? A mind that is never forced to struggle or create its own pathways? It could risk becoming rigid. It could ossify. That's a strange and powerful verb. Ossify. Ossify. The stress is on the first syllable. Ossify. Literally, ossify means to turn into bone or bony tissue. As we grow, cartilage in our bodies ossifies to create our skeletons, but we use it metaphorically to mean to become rigid, inflexible, and fixed in one's habits or beliefs. Imagine an old company that refuses to adapt to new technology or new market trends. Their management's thinking has ossified. They are stuck in the old ways of doing things and are unable to change. A synonym could be harden or rigidify. If our educational system becomes totally dependent on AI, it could cause our collective way of thinking to ossify. AI models are trained on vast amounts of existing human knowledge. They are incredibly good at recognizing patterns, synthesizing information, and generating text or images that are consistent with the data they were trained on. But they cannot create something truly new. They cannot have a genuinely original thought that breaks from the patterns of the past. True human genius often involves seeing a connection that no one has ever seen before, or challenging a fundamental assumption that everyone else has accepted as true. A human teacher can inspire this kind of thinking. They can encourage rebellion against the norm. They can present a radical idea and say, "What if this is wrong? Argue with me." They can foster a classroom culture where wild, crazy ideas are celebrated because that is where innovation comes from. If all students are learning from the same centralized AI system, which is trained on the same data, we risk creating a monoculture of thought. Everyone would be learning the same correct way to think based on the patterns the AI has identified. Dissenting opinions, creative leaps, and radical new ideas might be subtly discouraged as inefficient or incorrect. Our thinking would lose its flexibility, its diversity. It would ossify. We would become very, very good at answering yesterday's questions while losing the ability to even imagine the questions of tomorrow. Education should be about opening minds, not allowing them to harden into a single approved shape. So, where does this leave us? Am I saying that we should ban AI from schools and smash the robots? Absolutely not. That would be just as foolish as giving them complete control. This brings me to my final point, which is about finding the right balance. It's about acknowledging the power of this technology, but defining its proper role. The problem is not the technology itself. The problem is the idea of pedagogical substitution. Now, pedagogical is the adjective form of pedagogy, which is the theory and practice of teaching. Let's practice the pronunciation. Pedagogical. The main stress is on the gog syllable. Pedagogical. So, pedagogical substitution means substituting or replacing the core methods and human interaction of teaching with a technology. This is different from using technology as a tool. It's about letting the technology become the teacher. This is the danger we've been discussing, what some people might call teacher displacement, which is a simpler term for the same idea, pushing human teachers out of their jobs and their roles. I argue against pedagogical substitution. I argue against teacher displacement. Instead, I propose a different model. The ideal relationship between a human teacher and AI in the classroom should not be a replacement, but a partnership. It should be symbiotic. This is a wonderful word from biology. Symbiotic. Symbiotic. The stress is on the third syllable. Symbiotic. A symbiotic relationship is one where two different kinds of organisms live together in a way that benefits both of them. The classic example is the clownfish and the sea anemone. The anemone's tentacles protect the clownfish from predators, and the clownfish cleans the anemone and scares away fish that might eat it. They help each other survive and thrive. Their relationship is symbiotic. A good synonym would be cooperative or mutually beneficial. This is the model we should aim for in education, a symbiotic relationship between teacher and AI. The AI is not the teacher. It is the teacher's incredibly powerful assistant. The teacher remains the heart and soul of the classroom, the mentor, the guide, the source of inspiration. The AI becomes a tool that frees the teacher to do what only a human can do. Imagine this classroom. The teacher is leading a passionate discussion about a novel. At the same time, the AI is providing personalized grammar exercises to students who need extra help. Or the teacher is helping a small group of students build a volcano for a science project, while the AI provides instant factual answers to other students' research questions. The AI can handle the tedious, time-consuming tasks like grading multiple-choice quizzes or tracking student progress on basic skills. This frees up the teacher's time and energy to focus on the things that matter most: one-on-one conversations, fostering creativity, mentoring, and inspiring their students. In this model, the AI doesn't replace the teacher, it supports them. It's a symbiotic partnership. The technology handles the data and the repetition, while the human handles the connection and the inspiration. The result is better for everyone. The teacher is less buried in administrative work, and the students get the best of both worlds: the efficiency of technology and the irreplaceable wisdom and care of a human guide. The goal, then, is not to replace, but to augment. Let's look at this verb, augment. Augment. The stress is on the second syllable, ment. Augment. To augment something means to make it greater, larger, or more powerful by adding to it. It's about enhancement, not replacement. For example, a musician might use a special effects pedal to augment the sound of their guitar, making it richer and more complex. A company might hire more staff to augment its ability to serve customers. A simple synonym is to supplement or to enhance. This should be the guiding principle for AI in education. It should augment the human teacher. The technology can be a powerful addition to the teacher's toolkit. It can create personalized learning plans that augment the main lesson. It can provide virtual reality field trips that augment what students read in a textbook. It can offer translation services that augment a teacher's ability to communicate with a student who speaks a different language. The power of the AI is used to enhance and expand the teacher's reach and effectiveness. It's like giving the teachers superpowers. Suddenly, they can be in a dozen places at once, providing personalized support while never losing that essential human core of the classroom. The focus shifts from human versus machine to human plus machine. The technology is not the destination, it is a vehicle that helps the teacher and student travel further and faster on their educational journey. When we seek to augment our teachers, we empower them. When we seek to replace them, we diminish the very ideal of education itself. Finally, we have to understand what is truly at stake when we talk about making education more efficient by removing the human element. What we are really talking about is a process called disintermediation. This is a very advanced but very important business and technology term. Disintermediation. Disintermediation. It's another long one. The main stress is on that A syllable near the end. Disintermediation. Let's try it again. Disintermediation. Disintermediation is the removal of the intermediaries, the middlemen, from a supply chain or a process. The classic example is how online shopping has led to the disintermediation of many physical retail stores. Instead of buying from a local shop, the intermediary, you can now often buy directly from the manufacturer online. It cuts out the middleman. The push for AI teachers is a push for the disintermediation of the human teacher. It frames the teacher as an inefficient middleman between the student and the information. The argument is, why go through a human teacher when a student can get the information directly from a more efficient, all-knowing AI? This view of education is dangerously flawed because it misunderstands what a teacher is. A teacher is not a middleman for information. A teacher is the catalyst for transformation. They are not simply passing along knowledge, they are helping to build a mind. They are the coach, the guide, the challenger, the supporter. They are the ones who translate raw information into usable wisdom. To remove them from the process, to pursue disintermediation in the classroom, is like trying to build a house without an architect or a builder. You might have all the raw materials, the wood, the bricks, the plans, but without the expert who knows how to put them together, who knows how to adapt to unforeseen problems, who brings a vision to the project, all you have is a pile of supplies. You don't have a home. The teacher is the architect of the learning experience. Trying to cut them out for the sake of efficiency is the ultimate folly. It is to fundamentally misunderstand that in the journey of learning, the guide is just as important as the destination. We have looked at this from so many angles. We've seen that the empathy of an AI is a specious illusion, a performance with high verisimilitude but no heart. We've talked about the ineffable magic of a true human connection, the kind that allows us to learn vicariously through the wisdom of another's life. We've warned against the pernicious and subtle harm that an over-reliance on AI could do to our creativity, causing our thinking to ossify and harden. And finally, we have proposed a better way forward. Not pedagogical substitution or teacher displacement, but a symbiotic partnership where technology is used to augment the human teacher, rejecting the cold logic of disintermediation. The choice is not between the past and the future. It is between two different futures. One future is sterile, efficient, and hollow, a world where learning is a transaction. The other is a future where technology serves humanity, where our most powerful tools are used to empower our most important people, our teachers. A machine can give a child an answer, but a human teacher can look them in the eye and help them find their own. Do you agree? Or do you see a different path? Write your thoughts down in the comments. Let's continue this conversation together. Thank you so much for listening and for thinking so deeply with me today. To make your English improve faster, try making listening to our podcast a daily habit. Even a few minutes a day can make a world of difference. Until next time.